Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Comprehensive martial arts. Overwhelming understanding. Immortal Cultivation exposed on the Golden List. Su Yun travels through the world of comprehensive martial arts and possesses the ability to defy the heavens. Observe the changes in heaven and earth, learn martial arts in the world, and comprehend the supreme immortal method. You observe the changes in heaven and earth, and comprehend the heavenly level talisman art. You observe the true spirit of Emperor Zhenwu and comprehend the pure yang sword immortal body. You observe the changes in thunder and comprehend the nine thunder technique of the Divine Sky. At this moment, the heavenly descending golden list exposes the cultivators in the world. 16th place. Zhang Sanfeng created his own Tai Chi sword. 12th place. Inviting the moon god to teach the Mingyu Jiuzhuan Immortal Scripture. 10th place. Huang Rong, practicing the Nine Heavens Immortal Technique, has already seen the Golden Elixir Avenue.8th place. Startled Salamander, encountered a mysterious Taoist and practiced the giant whale swallowing the sky skill. It wasn't until the first place was exposed that the people of Kyushu realized how terrifying Su Yun was. The women on the list are all related to Su Yun. Inviting Moon, Huang Rong, Startling Salamander. Heartless man, where are you running? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Taihang Immortals. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. At the beginning of the morning sun rises, with 1,000 auspicious colors. The Taihang mountains and valleys have magnificent scenery. At the peak of the mountain, clouds and mist envelop the spiritual energy, like a painting of a fairyland. A simple and ancient Taoist temple stands tall inside, and the plaque at the entrance prominently reads Baiyun Taoist Temple. The young man in front of the Taoist temple, who was handsome and had a demonic face, was practicing in tuna. The early morning mountain breeze gently brushed past, swaying the young man's long hair. The white robe hanging on his shoulders like a waterfall danced gracefully, intertwined with the mountain breeze, as if blending with nature. Slightly visible, strands of misty purple air between heaven and earth were sucked into his mouth and nose, emitting a melodious sound like delicate piano music. With each breath, the true elements in his body flowed like a river, complementing the cycle of heaven and earth. Su Yun opened his eyes, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and his face was filled with satisfaction. During his 3 years of cultivation, he used a way of communicating with nature, comprehending the laws of heaven and earth, absorbing the spiritual energy of nature, and establishing subtle connections with this world. There was even a faint feeling of being ethereal and detached from the world. Su Yun felt that his state was somewhat similar to the cultivation described in online novels, as if he had already sublimated and transcended the world. My thoughts drifted back 3 years ago involuntarily. Su Yun is actually a traveler. In his past life, he was a social animal of a large factory in Blue Star, China, living in the Steel Forest 996. More precisely, it's 007. The blessings of 996 were beyond Su Yun's control. As a general worker on the assembly line, he was doing the most tiring and arduous work without any rest time. After sleeping, both the body and mind have become numb, like walking corpses. Finally, after working overtime all night, Su Yun, who had been tired for 26 consecutive hours, fell into the dormitory with a black eye. After waking up, I suddenly realized that I had come to another world. And being in an unmanned Taoist temple. By flipping through books in the Taoist temple, Su Yun also knew what kind of world this was. This world is called Shenzhou Continent. The Great Qin, Great Han, Great Sui, Great Tang, Great Song, Mongolian Yuan, Great Ming, Liang, Bailey and other imperial dynasties stand side by side, standing proudly in all directions. Western Xia, Dali, Turkic, Tianzhu, Dalio and other countries are eyeing closely. There are countless unparalleled masters, and even invincible figures from previous novels, movies, and TV dramas stand tall in the world, resembling a fusion of martial arts. The martial arts realm of this world, from low to high, is roughly as follows. Acquired realm, innate 9th rank, highest 1st rank, lowest 9th rank, master, great master, heavenly inhuman, and land immortals. Grand Master realm is already a master in the field, with a generation of masters appointed at the beginning of the sect. The Grand Master is also skilled in his techniques. As for the heavenly man and the land god immortal realm experts, they are close to the peak of mortal strength and are among the top figures in the mainland, among the few. Many characters in this world, Su Yun, are extremely familiar. During the Yuan dynasty, Zhang Sanfeng from Wudong created his own Tai Chi sword, which is rumored to have entered the realm of martial arts. His strength is immeasurable. In the Liang dynasty, the city of Emperor Wu, Wang Xianji, was invincible and suppressed for a year. Everyone was afraid and cold, and he was crowned with the title of Wang Laomo. In the Song dynasty, it is said that the great hero Chuanying has obtained the war god illustrated record, and his cultivation is extremely terrifying. His long sword can shatter the sky with just one strike. A martial arts myth rises together, shining brightly in the world. At that time, Su Yun, who had learned everything, had the joy of being reborn and finally broke free from the shackles of 007. Moreover, the Taoist temple is located at the top of the Taihang mountains, where the lush forests and exotic flowers and plants of the immortal mountains grow, emitting a rich natural fragrance. Various exotic herbs are everywhere, emitting vitality. Unlike the polluted environment in previous lives, living here alone can prolong life and improve physical fitness. Take it as it comes. Su Yun quickly adapted, and his restless heart seemed to be purified by the surrounding environment, becoming exceptionally firm and calm. A necessary system for travelers, Su Yun is no exception. As soon as I crossed over, I awakened to the reading system. Reading can earn rewards and make me stronger. And with it comes the ability to overcome adversity. At the same time, Su Yun inherited the Baiyun Taoist temple, which has countless hidden treasures, and is no less impressive than the world's top sect scripture storage pavilion. With the help of supernatural understanding, it is easy to comprehend the obscure and difficult to understand books in Taoist philosophy. This can be said to be the beginning of Tianhu. As long as you study in this Taoist temple, you can quickly become stronger, and there is even easier cultivation than this. Moreover, the world of comprehensive martial arts is extremely dangerous, and strength is paramount. Murder and arson have become the norm. Without sufficient strength, they will eventually become fish and meat on the chopping board to be slaughtered. Revive a lifetime and have an exceptionally clear mind. Since he has unique conditions, Su Yun thinks of waiting for his cultivation and strength to improve before considering leaving the mountain. In the first year, Su Yun remained closed and devoted himself to reading the Taoist scriptures, realizing the ultimate principles of Taoism. He combined the concept of all things are born from the Tao, and operate according to the laws of the Tao, in the Taoist scriptures to realize the great cultivation and longevity skill. This cultivation method combines the concept of Taoism and follows the laws of heaven and earth, washing essence and cutting marrow to improve the adverse effects of qualifications. More importantly, it can also prolong life and increase longevity. After only practicing for a few months, Su Yun's physical condition has greatly improved. His skin has become slightly glossy, crystal clear like glass, warm and delicate, almost flawless. His senses have also been greatly enhanced, his vision becomes brighter, he can sense the movement and changes in small details, his hearing becomes more sensitive, he can capture faint sounds, understand their meanings, and his breath is smooth and stable, like an ancient tree standing on the top of a mountain for thousands of years. Su Yun once again came to understand the basic divination techniques from the Book of Changes, but he was not yet fully proficient. He was able to deduce a few things and gained a deeper understanding of the world's fortune. In the following year, he devoted himself to practicing in the Taoist temple, and his cultivation became increasingly advanced, with a great understanding of the martial arts. He began to travel down the mountain, practicing in the mountains and water, seeing all kinds of things in the world, and comprehending the mysteries of the world. In the process, he had completely integrated into this world. Just as Su Yun's thoughts were drifting, a light and gentle voice sounded. "Young master, I have prepared the food and can now have a meal." I saw a woman in white lightly passing through the corridor of the Taoist temple, holding a pile of freshly dried clothes in her hand, and softly reminding Su Yun outside the temple. The woman has an unparalleled appearance, a slender and delicate figure, and her skin is as white as jade, slightly revealing a radiance. Her delicate hair gently falls to her waist, flowing like a waterfall. That noble temperament is enough to make any woman feel ashamed of herself. Just her words, as well as the man's clothing in her arms, reveal her identity as a maid. If the people in Bailey Snow Moon City were to see this scene, they would definitely be surprised. Because this woman is not someone else, but the second lord of Snow Moon City, Snow Moon Sword Immortal Hanyi. As one of the 5 major sword immortals of the Northern Li dynasty, the Snow Moon Sword Immortal, Hanyi has extremely high talent and powerful swordsmanship, and has a strong voice in the Snow Moon City. More importantly, Hanyi has a solitary and aloof personality, with a cold and aloof temperament that resists people thousands of miles away. There are very few people in this world who can catch his eye. Such a towering sword immortal, at this moment, is doing laundry and cooking for a young Taoist. If this were to spread, I'm afraid it would startle countless people's chins. Chapter 2. Heavenly Descent Gold List. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hanyi is one of the women that Su Yun met while traveling to the mainland. In his 3rd year in Shenzhou, Su Yun's strength greatly improved and he began to travel the mainland, hoping to meet martial arts experts and improve his knowledge and experience. However, he acted in a low-key manner, wearing a hat mask to cover his face, and made very few moves. No one in the martial arts world knows that there is someone like him. When passing by Bailey by chance, he saw Hanyi being chased and seriously injured by countless assassins, so he casually rescued her. That day, faced with a group of top-notch experts, Su Yun's white clothes fluttered. However, with a wave of his hand, a strong wind suddenly rose, causing the wind and clouds to change color. With a casual wave of his hand, he created a flat tornado that swept all the experts into mid-air and defeated them in one sweep. These divine methods shook Hanyi's heart and soul. Due to being seriously injured and feeling weak, he quickly passed out. After waking up, Hanyi found herself lying in the house of the Taoist temple, with most of her injuries healed. However, her memory was slightly blurred, and she vaguely remembered a towering figure blocking her and repelling all the assassins. Soon, Su Yun appeared to offer condolences and informed Hanyi of his condition, as he was entrusted to take care of him. Although Hanyi couldn't see the face of the life-saving benefactor clearly, he believed that Su Yun was his life-saving benefactor. In order to recuperate Hanyi, he stayed in the Taoist temple for a long time. Feeling grateful for Su Yun's care, as his injuries gradually healed, he began to do laundry and cooking. She has no complaints about this, abandoning all honors and face, and serving Su Yun like a maid. At this moment, at the small table in the bamboo pavilion of Baiyun Taoist temple, the two dined as usual. Looking at a plate of delicious food with both color and aroma, Su Yun's eyes lit up. It seems that Hanyi's cooking skills have improved again. He watched with his own eyes as Hanyi gradually transformed from a noble fairy who was not familiar with worldly affairs to a clever and obedient maid with agile hands and feet. He did not interfere in the process, it was entirely a genuine transformation from the other party's heart. Su Yun didn't know why this Snow Moon Sword Immortal made such a huge transformation. Is it really a life-saving grace beyond heaven? I saw Hanyi lift her slender jade hand, pick up a beautiful dish with chopsticks, and lightly deliver it to the young master's bowl. With a clever smile, she said, "Come. Young master, taste it. This is my latest dish that I have come up with. Actually, Miss Li doesn't need to be like this. Su Yun said with a calm expression. Although the two of them have been together for some time, Li Hanyi's appearance is completely different from the Snow Moon Sword Immortal that Su Yun is familiar with, appearing exceptionally enthusiastic. This left Su Yun, who was accustomed to a quiet and indifferent life, at a loss. I'm willing, you can't control it. The grace of saving lives is greater than heaven. The young master saved my life. I served him tea, poured water, and even did laundry and cooking. Miss Li misunderstood. In fact, there is another expert who saved you. I was entrusted by that person to take care of the girl. Su Yun explained casually. Li Hanyi seemed to have never heard of it, with a smile still on her face. She filled the wine jug, picked up the glass, and handed it to Su Yun. Then, she also filled a glass herself. Here, I'll toast the young master. Li Hanyi picked up the wine glass and reached out her slender jade hand to Su Yun. Upon seeing this, Su Yun also welcomed the glass filled with wine in his hand. The cup walls lightly collided, and they all drank in one gulp. As if thinking of something, Li Hanyi smiled and said, for the sake of Hanyi's hard work, could you please satisfy my little curiosity, young master? That's natural, just put it bluntly. If you can help the girl, Su will definitely know everything. Su Yun said lightly. What kind of martial arts does the young master practice every morning? Li Hanyi thought for a moment and expressed her doubts. Su Yun practices his fists and feet outside the Taoist temple every morning, and then sits cross-legged like an old monk for several hours. From Li Hanyi's perspective, it was impossible to see the techniques of that fist technique, but she could also feel a strong Taoist charm from Su Yun's punches and kicks, as if those punches contained infinite wisdom. Such a mysterious fist technique, when Su Yun unleashed it, there was no internal power fluctuation throughout his body, which was truly strange. Oh, it's actually nothing, just a regular set of radio gymnastics. Just regular punches and kicks. Su Yun chuckled lightly. That's right. His daily morning exercises are indeed the broadcast gymnastics commonly used in his past life. However, Su Yun created an enhanced version of radio gymnastics by combining it with Tai Chi, Bagua, and the 5 elements of heaven and earth, relying on his extraordinary insight. Combined with Qi refining and breathing, it can strengthen the body and prolong life. Broadcast gymnastics. Upon hearing these words, Li Hanyi was filled with resentment in her heart. Are they really just ordinary punches and kicks? Now that Li Hanyi's injury is almost healed, with the perception of her master's realm, she still cannot see the depth of Su Yun. There is no fluctuation of internal strength on her body, as if she is truly an ordinary person who only knows a little bit of martial arts without internal strength. But before, she had clearly seen Su Yun sitting at the entrance of the Taoist temple, meditating and breathing, and his Tao was full of charm, like a carefree immortal floating out of the dust. Li Hanyi didn't give up, and while serving Su Yun vegetables, he said, I'm afraid the young master's cultivation has reached the point where I can look up to him. I'm afraid he's already a land god. Land immortals. Su Yun shook his head and said, I just read a few more books and read the Taoist Tripitaka a few more times. How could I know any martial arts skills? My practice of breathing is purely for exercising the body. It's a girl who has such skills at a young age. It's really enviable. After a pause, Su Yun began to drive people and continued, it seems that Miss Hanyi's injury is not serious anymore. She can almost go down the mountain now. Li Hanyi's face suddenly changed and he immediately coughed violently. Cough cough. She pretended to be weak, her breath extremely restrained, and she appeared lethargic. What did the young master say? His cold clothes hurt his lungs. How could he recover so quickly? I'm afraid he still needs to cultivate himself carefully for a while. Li Hanyi's pretty face turned pale, with a look of being injured recently. Even if all the attempts were ineffective, she didn't believe that Su Yun was an ordinary person who didn't know martial arts. She had to stay and reveal Su Yun's true face no matter what. Now her injuries have healed to a great extent, but when she was first sent here, she was on the brink of death and even her consciousness was completely blurred. Being able to completely heal the dying great master, it is said that he is an ordinary person who does not understand martial arts, and ghosts believe it. Li Hanyi gave Su Yun a deep glance and wanted to say something more. I only heard a loud bang. As if the entire sky was boiling. Suddenly, dark clouds shrouded, thunder and lightning intertwined, auspicious energy rose, and colorful clouds shrouded. After a moment, the sunlight shone through the clouds, shining in harmony with the golden light in the clouds, like a strange light descending from the sky. As the light shone down, 100 zhang long golden scrolls slowly fell, and the entire Shenzhou was clearly visible. Seeing this scene, Li Hanyi's beautiful eyes widened and her small mouth kept trembling, leaving her heart greatly shocked. This magnificent sight is simply unheard of. The golden scroll was incredibly sacred, making her feel the urge to worship. Li Hanyi didn't notice, and Su Yun across from her changed his usual composure. A hint of surprise appeared in his deep and vast eyes. This force is the power of the heavenly way. The manifestation of the heavenly way will bring great events to the continent of China. Chapter 3. Jiuzhou Cultivators. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Yun has read countless Taoist collections and gained a profound understanding of the history of the Shenzhou continent. This heavenly path has always been stable and has not manifested for thousands of years, but now it is born with a strange phenomenon, with golden light blooming and thunder exploding. Is all of this related to his travels? Su Yun fell into contemplation. At this moment, the golden scroll fell and several black handwriting appeared. Shenzhou Immortal list below are a few small characters. Arrange the strong cultivators of the divine realm standing at the top of the Taihang mountains. Su Yun and Li Hanyi saw the handwriting on the golden scroll very vividly. Arrange the strong men of Shenzhou. Li Hanyi stared at the sky and murmured absent-mindedly, has anyone in this world really begun to step into the threshold of cultivating immortality? Although she is known as the Sword Immortal, she is still far from the true cultivator. The sword immortal referred to by ordinary people is just a praise for the swordsmanship master, and fundamentally it is still an ordinary mortal. However, the cultivation of immortals has already transcended the realm of humans and will live forever in the world. Before this, Li Hanyi also had a hint of doubt about the cultivator. Did there really exist a cultivator at this time? The astonishing vision on the sky, along with the heavenly book scroll, made her more convinced of this statement. Su Yun glanced at Li Hanyi, who was stunned and lost in thought, but remained speechless. The Great Qin Dynasty, Xianyang. Zhangtai Palace. The towering door is open, carved with a divine dragon and phoenix. Dozens of stone pillars in the main hall are adorned with magnificent patterns, appearing solemn and majestic. Yingzheng was dressed in a black brocade robe, with a crown on his head, and his handsome face exuded a majestic and domineering aura. At this moment, he was reviewing the memorial, reviewing every suggestion and report word for word, pondering countermeasures, and the courtiers in front of him bowed and stood by with a solemn expression. Suddenly several golden lights poured down like the Milky Way, and 10,000 golden lines flickered in the air, illuminating the entire hall. The dazzling golden light was extremely dazzling, causing everyone in the hall to experience brief blindness. What exactly happened? Yingzheng raised his hand to block the light, his tone slightly surprised. There was a faint fear in my heart, perhaps it was the remnants of the 6 kingdoms who wanted to assassinate him. As the emperor of the Great Qin, Yingzheng reacted in an instant, holding down the handle of the Tianwen sword at his waist with one hand and pulling out his sword with a posture. However, before he could draw out the sword, after only a few breaths, the dazzling light completely dissipated, and he finally regained his clarity. Your Majesty, the sky is changing, and the list of immortals in the divine realm is now in the world. I want to arrange the strong cultivators in the divine realm. A minister who was slightly closer to the entrance of the main hall bowed and saluted. Immortal list. Arrange the cultivators. Yingjing's deep and vast eyes were sharp and shrewd, and a strong shock appeared on his majestic face. Is there really an immortal cultivator in this world? Yingjing murmured to himself. Rao, as the great Qin emperor, saw the world and now fell into a state of unconsciousness. Both the immortal list and the cultivator have exceeded his understanding, that is, he does not know whether the golden list in this world is a blessing or a curse for the entire Shenzhou. When even ordering the summoning of the national teacher moon god. What does the national teacher think of that immortal list? Yingjing said with a slightly solemn expression. Your Majesty. Below the main hall, the moon god is dressed in a water blue attire, with a light veil on his face, and his graceful figure exudes both luxury and mystery. She bowed and said, this matter has never been seen in the Chinese mainland before. The immortal list in this world is a great power of the heavenly way that no one can speculate on, and now we can only observe its changes in silence. Yingjing nodded slightly. Although the national teacher moon god possesses powerful deductive skills, he still appears very insignificant in the face of the heavenly way. The will of the heavenly way is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. The moon god continued, the descent of the immortal list may be a missed opportunity for your majesty. This indicates that there is indeed a matter of immortality and immortality in the world. Your Majesty can gather the power of the great Qin dynasty to find the people on the list. Daming, Hulong Mountain Villa. There are actually strong cultivators in Shenzhou. Zhu ignored looking up at the sky, his face full of surprise. Moreover, the ranking of the heavenly book indicates that there are by no means a few immortal powerhouses in this world. Such a shocking secret that instantly shattered his years of understanding. Zhu ignored being the Iron Gallbladder God Marquis, and even had elites like the four great spies who collected intelligence. He believed that he had already understood the world and planned strategies. But what happened now completely crushed and destroyed Zhu's confidence in ignoring his heart. Moreover, Zhu ignored the cultivation of the suction technique and absorbed the internal power of more than 200 experts, making him an invincible powerhouse that has shaken the past and the present. But if someone cultivates immortality in the world, Zhu disregards and considers himself unable to compete. Even if one's internal strength is strong, they will still be ordinary people. Mortals and immortals are no longer on the same level. In the eyes of the former cultivator, ordinary people are like ants. Report. At this moment, a decree came. Report to Your Majesty summoned. Tang Dynasty. Empress Wu Zetian sat upright on the magnificent dragon chair, with phoenix eyes slightly narrowed and a majestic expression on her face. Shenzhou Immortal List. Arrange the strong cultivators in Shenzhou. The large black characters on the scroll were like a stunning boulder, thrown into the calm lake and causing intense splashes in her heart. But as the Empress of the Tang Dynasty, Wu Zetian tried her best to suppress the shock in her heart, and on the surface, she did not show much composure. After experiencing the initial shock, she finally calmed down. Is it true that there are strong cultivators hiding in the world in Shenzhou, which ordinary people cannot detect? Isn't that to say that there are still many uncontrollable factors in the Tang Dynasty's creation of a comprehensive and prosperous era? Empress Wu Zetian is striving for excellence in governance, attempting to revive the Tang Dynasty and recreate the prosperous era of Xinguan. If there are cultivators in the world, it will be a variable. If it can be used by her, it will be a great help. If it becomes an enemy, it will also be a great disaster. I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse for me, Tang Dynasty. Perhaps the country needs to ask its teachers. Wu Zetian lowered her eyebrows and pondered, immediately ordering someone to summon the bad handsome Yuan Tiangang. De Yuan. Wudong Mountain, Zhenwu Hall. Zhang Sanfeng, with a fairy-like demeanor and white beard and hair, had just finished his seclusion and sat cross-legged on the cattail in the main hall. The whole body has a vast and unfathomable aura, and although the beard and hair are all white, the skin on the face is as delicate as a baby's. Zhang Sanfeng looked at the golden scroll on the horizon with a solemn expression. The heart of Gu Jing Wubwa had a violent ripple, and after living for 100 years, it was the first time he had seen such a magnificent sight. Kyushu Immortal List. Arrange the cultivators. I don't know if the old Taoist can be considered a cultivator. Zhang Sanfeng murmured in his heart. There is not much doubt about the existence of cultivators. His cultivation method is different from ordinary martial arts, which emphasizes following the principles of heaven, following the natural way, and having the effect of prolonging life. Perhaps it is the way of cultivating immortals. On the continent of Shenzhou, there are Wudi City, Desolate, Tianqi City, and Shuyue City, all of which are famous throughout the world. Countless powerful people have gazed at the horizon, all showing their surprised faces. Chapter 4. Kyushu Immortal List, Heavenly Way Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, on the top of the gold list, ancient and simple words slowly appeared. Shenzhou Immortal List. The immortal caresses my head, curling my hair for longevity. In the 800 autumn of the year of Didao, I have never flown a sword to cut off a person's head. I wander towards the North Sea at dusk, with a green snake in my sleeve and thick courage. I have been drunk 3 times, unaware of the people of Yeyang, and fly over Dongting Lake with a loud chant. There is a method of immortality in the world, and there are also supreme beings who understand the immortal method and enter the Tao to search for immortals. Therefore, the Heavenly Way has specially listed the Shenzhou Immortal List to list the top 20 cultivators in the world. Those who enter the list can receive Heavenly Way rewards, and the higher the ranking, the richer the rewards. This list is updated once a month. These inscriptions are like dragons soaring into the air, flipping and jumping, lifelike creatures, shining with golden light and emitting a mysterious energy wave that is irresistible. This scene deeply shakes the hearts and minds of every Chinese person. Seeing the text on the gold list, various parts of China are discussing it one after another. It's not a bad thing, it's a heavenly method. With such a great stroke, I'm afraid no one in the world can match it. Is there really a cultivator in this world? Can this still be fake? With such means, who can do it? It is said that the strength of cultivators immortals has even surpassed that of land immortals, and they are all top experts in the mainland. Divine dragons see the head but not the tail, and perhaps only the Heavenly Way can fully understand them. Ranking only the top 20. Does that mean there are more than 20 cultivators in the world? Oh my God, it's so terrifying. It turns out that the land immortals are not the strongest on the continent. TSK. Heavenly rewards. It's terrifying to think about it. Can it be the method of cultivating immortals? Or what kind of miraculous elixir? After all, that's a reward given to cultivators. In the mainland of China, the land immortal realm is recognized as the strongest in martial arts, but the longevity element is not much longer than that of ordinary people. What cultivators gather is spiritual power, which is one level higher than the internal power cultivated by martial artists. Shouyuan is beyond the reach of martial artists. It is common for cultivators to have a lifespan of over 100, while martial artists can only increase their lifespan through some special techniques by reaching the peak of their martial arts path. Whether it is cultivators or the methods of cultivating immortals, in the eyes of ordinary people, they are only limited to legends, and only now do they realize the manifestation of the Heavenly Way. Perhaps there are indeed cultivators in the world, and the number is not small. A hero looked at the sky with high fighting spirit and said, although we were born as ants, we should also aspire to a lofty goal. Since there is a way to cultivate immortality in the world, we must spare no effort to strive for it. Cultivating immortality can lead to immortality, which everyone dreams of. Although cultivating immortals is difficult, at least there is still a way to cultivate immortals in the world. Longevity is not like a flower in the moon and a mirror in the water. In inns and restaurants throughout the mainland of China, a group of wind and dust heroes gathered together to enjoy wine, meat, and delicious food, while also starting to discuss the cultivators and the top scorers of that day's Tao. Immortals, they usually possess spells and magical abilities that surpass ordinary people. Although they may seem leisurely, in reality, the path of cultivation is not easy to follow. The speaker is an elderly man with white hair. His face was covered in traces of time, with wrinkles crisscrossing and experiencing the baptism of the martial arts world. That's right, the way of cultivating immortals emphasizes the cultivation of one's inner nature and the realm of enlightenment. The challenges and practices they experience may be even more difficult than those of us martial artists. However, the reward from that day's golden list was destined to miss us. However, I'm just curious about who these cultivators are. Who are they? Across from the old man, a bearded man wearing a black robe curiously said. They are all experienced experts in the martial arts world, and one can naturally imagine how difficult it is to cultivate immortality. They have no intention of competing for the heavenly Tao reward. But he was very curious about the identity of the cultivator, who was a towering figure who wanted to witness his true appearance. A table in the corner of the restaurant. A man and a woman sat opposite each other, naturally the two of Su Yun and Li Hanyi. With their golden ranking in this world, Shenzhou was bound to be even more lively. In a moment of excitement, they came to the restaurant at the foot of the Taihang mountains for leisure. I don't know what Su Gongzi's opinion is on the list of cultivating immortals. Li Hanyi had a smile on her lips. The girl in cold clothes is joking. Su is an ordinary person who doesn't know martial arts. How can he have any opinions? Su Yun shook the folding fan and took a sip of tea with a faint smile. Young master, be humble. Nowadays, Shenzhou can hide tigers and dragons. If it weren't for the manifestation of the heavenly way, who would have thought that so many cultivators were hidden? Li Hanyi lifted the teapot and filled it with Su Yun. Then with a cunning smile, he said, some people may appear to be ordinary people who don't know martial arts, but behind the scenes they may be divine cultivators with unparalleled abilities. Su Yun usually eats qi in the residual glow, which naturally catches her eye. Maybe it's not just a physical exercise technique, but a cultivation method. Thinking of Su Yun's calm and composed demeanor, as if he was indifferent to worldly affairs, Li Hanyi felt even more mysterious and unfathomable in his heart, and he firmly believed that Su Yun must be a cultivator. The girl thinks, who can make it to the immortal list in the divine realm now? Su Yun asked in reverse. Upon hearing these words, Li Hanyi was also taken aback, and immediately dragged his chin with a thoughtful expression. After a moment, he spoke up and said, with my superficial knowledge, young master, don't mock me when you hear this. That's nature. Li Hanyi looked serious and said, if it's possible that he's a cultivator, my master Li Changsheng may be able to make it to the list. My master is one of the top experts in Bailey. He has been a land immortal for decades and is now hidden in the world. Perhaps he can become a cultivator. Another example is Wudong Zhang Sanfeng. It is said that Zhang Zhenren has been in seclusion for 100 years and has made great progress in cultivation. However, he himself is a fairy-like and talented person, with white hair and youthful appearance, and may be able to make it to the list. Humph. Also, it's you, young Master Su. I guess young Master is the deepest hidden immortal. Li Hanyi fixed his gaze on Su Yun, looking as if he could see through everything. Cough. Su Yun coughed lightly, and there was no emotional fluctuation on his face. He said indifferently, the girl's analysis is quite reasonable. As an ordinary person, Master Li and Zhang Zhenren are at the top of the martial arts world in China. Perhaps they can really make it to the immortal list. Humph. Seeing Su Yun voluntarily ignoring himself, Li Hanyi lightly hummed and said, this is just my guess, it depends on the heavenly Tao immortal list. The power of the heavenly way is boundless, there won't be any fish escaping the net. I'm afraid someone won't be able to sleep. As he spoke, his clear eyes looked at Su Yun again. I saw Su Yun's face as usual, indifferent. I came through time travel, and the traveler comes with a blocking function, so it shouldn't be exposed by the heavenly way, right? Chapter 5. Immortals of Eternal Life and Immortal Death. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. In the Tang Dynasty. Empress Wu Zetian and Shangguan Wan'er looked at the sky with a solemn expression on their faces. Counting the world's cultivators. Is there really that immortal with boundless magic and immortality in this world? Wu Zetian has been in the Debao for 3 years now, and the world is peaceful. She still doesn't know the terror of aging in her youth, but the thought of cultivating immortality inevitably makes her heart skip a beat. Cultivating immortality means having a boundless lifespan, a body full of dirt, and eternal beauty. Who wouldn't be tempted by these many benefits? Just cultivating immortality is not a child's play. As an emperor, Empress Wu Zetian's vigilance far exceeds that of ordinary people. She would rather miss out on things she is unsure of than make mistakes. I am also indecisive about cultivating immortals and dare not make hasty conclusions. Seemingly aware of the Empress's confusion, Shangguan Wan'er immediately spoke up, Your Majesty, perhaps there are cultivators in this world. Back then, when the Tang dynasty was first established, there were countless extraordinary people from the mountains and fields who helped the Tang dynasty conquer the world. Now, there are also 2 extraordinary people, Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng. The world is vast, perhaps there are other strange people in the mountains and fields. Wu Zetian nodded silently upon hearing the words. The Tang dynasty has a vast territory and a large population, and there are indeed many extraordinary people and scholars in the countryside. Perhaps there are hidden cultivators among them. She only hopes that the more people on the list in the Tang dynasty, the better. Nowadays, the Tang dynasty is in the midst of hiring people. If someone in the Tang dynasty can make it to the gold list, even if they pay a great price, they will still have to be recruited. At this moment, someone spoke out in the main hall. Your Majesty, the national teacher requests to enter the palace. Oh, come on, please. Upon hearing this, Wu Zetian's eyes lit up instantly. Not long after, a handsome man dressed in green walked slowly into the main hall, and it was Yuan Tiangang, the great teacher of the Tang dynasty. Upon seeing Yuan Tiangang, Wu Zetian couldn't wait to ask, The national teacher is my Tang dynasty divine arithmetic, and I can calculate the past and future. I wonder if the national teacher can figure out who can make it to the golden list. Wu Zetian's idea was to know the people on the list in advance, so as to be the first to recruit them, so as not to be preempted by people from other imperial dynasties. Sigh. At this moment, Yuan Tiangang's breath was weak. He let out a long sigh and said, I tried to divine the secrets of cultivation, but I was immediately backfired. Your Majesty, the heavenly way cannot be counted. At that time, he used the 8 trigrams formation to deduce that the turtle shell was the weapon for defense and defense. He thought it was foolproof, but in no time, the hard turtle shell seemed to have been crushed into pieces by some supreme force. And Yuan Tiangang himself naturally suffered a backlash and suffered serious injuries. Seeing the once confident national teacher feeling dejected, Wu Zetian nodded slowly in surprise. The way of heaven cannot be inferred. The same goes for cultivators. Daming, the Forbidden City. In the main hall. Shenzhou Golden List, arrange cultivators. Emperor Jiuzhou looked at the majestic face of the scroll above the sky, full of disbelief. The mysterious scroll was already impressive enough, now there's also an arrangement cultivator. Even as the emperor of the Ming dynasty, Jiuzhou cannot remain calm at this moment. After regaining his senses, he quickly asked Zhu Wuwu next to him, Uncle Huang, the head of the Dragon Protection Villa is in charge of my Ming dynasty intelligence. Have you ever found any traces of cultivators? Zhu Wuwu, dressed in a python robe, also had a shocked expression on his face. After being asked by the emperor, he finally regained his senses and shook his head. "Your Majesty, the cultivators have transcended the world, and their methods are extraordinary. It's easy to get rid of our spy's investigation. I just realized that there are cultivators in the world." "Just kidding, that's a cultivator. Even if Zhu ignores them, he can't capture their traces. Fighting between humans and immortals is no different from seeking death." As if thinking of something, Zhu ignored and suddenly felt a chill in his spine. Unable to capture the traces of cultivators themselves, what do cultivators want to obtain their own traces? Thinking of absorbing the internal power of over 200 heroes, Zhu ignored and felt a sense of emptiness in his heart. If such a despicable act is detected by cultivators, will they take action against themselves? What should I do if I take action? Zhu Wuwu doesn't believe that with the strength and heritage of the Dragon Protection Villa, he can withstand the punishment of cultivators. I can only pray in my heart that this evil act has not been noticed. Is Uncle Huang okay? Seeing the anomaly that Zhu ignored, Zhu Xiaohou spoke up and asked. "I'm fine. I just think your Majesty must not provoke cultivators. Even treat them with respect." Zhu ignored Zhang's expression and said. "Thank you for your concern, Emperor. I naturally understand this." Zhu Xiaohou nodded and said. "Even if he is the Emperor of the Ming dynasty, he still appears pale and powerless in the face of cultivators, and can only do his best to recruit for the current plan, but it is unknown whether there are hidden immortals in the Ming dynasty." Bailey, Snow Moon City. Bailey Dongjun and Sikong Changfeng looked at the golden list on the horizon with a dazed expression, and their hearts were filled with emotion. Although there are 5 sword immortals in Bailey, they also have the name of immortals. But the two of them knew in their hearts that they were just slightly more skilled in martial arts, and they couldn't afford to be called true immortals. "Big brother, have you ever met a real fairy while traveling overseas all year round?" Sikong Changfeng spoke out. "My elder brother has a free and unrestrained personality, but he also has a fairy-like charm. According to the divine texts on the gold list, there are hidden fairies in the world. He, a true immortal." Bai Li Dongjun smiled sadly and said, "I am an incompetent person. How can I be favored by immortals?" At this point, he remembered one person, who was Mo-E, who lived in seclusion in the overseas fairy mountains. This person is the top expert in Bailey, perhaps he can become a true immortal. "Big brother." Seeing him so decadent, Sikong Changfeng also knew the reason behind it. In the past, Bailey Dongjun killed his wife for unknown reasons, and since then, he has been in a state of despair, borrowing wine to ease his worries. Don't dwell too much on this topic. I saw his eyes freeze and he said with a hint of anxiety, "Compared to this, I don't know when I can find my senior sister." Initially, Li Hanyi was ambushed by a hidden river and suffered serious injuries, but now there is no news of him. The two senior brothers searched the entire Bailey area but found nothing. I searched for the entire Snowy Moon, but didn't find any trace of the cold clothes. County Magistrate Bailadong sighed. If it weren't for Li Hanyi's disappearance, he wouldn't have returned to Snow Moon City. Even so, there was still no trace of Li Hanyi, as if she had disappeared completely out of thin air. In fact, they are very clear in their hearts that being ambushed by so many experts and seriously injured, I'm afraid it's more or less unlucky. Chapter 6. Rebirth from the Dead, Shining to the Scriptures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, the golden chart above the sky shook again. I saw the quaint scroll hovering high in the sky, emitting a dazzling golden light. Next up. A stunning scene begins to evolve, with brilliant stars, intertwined constellations, and giant dragons soaring. The dragon's body twists and turns, and its claws are placed on the clouds. The dragon's scales sparkle with golden radiance, incredibly majestic and mysterious. In one corner of the screen, there is a misty sea of clouds, shrouded in mist, as if a dreamy world. In the sea of clouds, a group of cranes dance gracefully, their light postures complementing the tranquility of the sky. Seeing such changes, all the people who were gazing at the sky showed an incredulous expression on their faces. Some people's eyes widened, as if they couldn't believe everything they saw was real. Someone stood still on the spot, completely shocked by this magnificent scene, and their language couldn't help but stutter. Some people keep their eyes fixed on the golden chart, as if immersed in that grand and mysterious world and unable to extricate themselves. Their faces showed an inexplicable excitement and awe. Heavenly Way. The Heavenly Way is evolving the world. Everyone was excited in their hearts, as if they had seen an unforgettable sight that they would never forget. The scenes were like fairyland, shocking everyone. This is the fairyland. Immortals really exist. But I haven't waited for them to shake their spirits. At this moment, the magnificent scene disappeared once again. Screen changes. In the dim and damp dungeon, a man in prison uniform with a messy beard was meditating and practicing martial arts. As he vomited, the red light on the man's body flickered, illuminating the entire dungeon. And in front of the man lay a person lying horizontally, covered in blood without a sound, with dark skin covered in cracks, clearly dead for a long time. Upon seeing this scene, those who were watching the video fell into a daze. The scene before them was dim, damp, and dilapidated, with a chilling chill that could be felt even through the screen. They could not believe that this was the image released by the Golden List. Is this the place where cultivators live? Everyone felt a great impact on their hearts and minds. The cultivator is towering above, how could he appear in such a place where dirt and filth are hidden? Does this seem like a dungeon? Does it mean that immortals nowadays like to cultivate in such places? Although the cultivator's thoughts are not something that ordinary people can speculate on, that place is indeed a dungeon. Did they commit any crime and be imprisoned by the government? Imprisonment. How can the local government restrict the immortals? I think the immortals are tired of being carefree and want to experience a different kind of life. They couldn't imagine that the towering cultivator would fall to this point, and they could only attribute this behavior of subverting cognition to the will of the immortal himself. In a certain restaurant, there was also a stir. Countless wine merchants and scattered people in the martial arts world coincidentally stopped their movements and looked up at the sky. Did you make a mistake? This is the place where cultivators live. A person held a wine glass and muttered unconsciously, his raised arm already frozen. Please be cautious, young man. The majesty of the heavenly way cannot be questioned by us. Upon hearing that the person dared to question the content of the painting, the shopkeeper of the restaurant quickly spoke out to remind him. At the same time, his entire back had already been soaked in sweat, and he trembled uncontrollably. How majestic the heavenly way is! How could they be questioned by this group of ordinary people? If they offend the heavens, it would be enough to kill that person, but they are afraid that they will also be implicated. Even the entire restaurant could be completely destroyed. Joking, the heavenly way is an existence that surpasses cultivators. In fact, his heart was also puzzled. How could cultivators appear in the dungeon? However, this scene is evolving through the Golden List. How could the boundless power of the heavenly way go wrong? There is still a person lying next to the immortal. Judging from his silent appearance, is he already dead? I just don't know what his relationship with the immortal is. Will the immortal save him? What nonsense! Judging from that person's appearance, they should have died for some time. Even immortals are powerless to turn the tide. At this moment, everyone who had come to their senses suddenly realized that there was still a dead person lying next to that person. Previously, everyone's gaze was drawn to the man in prison uniform, and they forgot about this incident. I can't blame them either. Dead people in prison are the norm. In the dungeon, people's lives are like grass, and those who suffer from serious illnesses or severe punishment often die silently without any attention. But now it's different. Because that person and the cultivator are in the same cell, it is unlikely that they will not receive attention. Everyone was also curious about his relationship with the cultivator and what actions the cultivator would take next. That person is a cultivator. In the tavern, Hanyi spoke out in confusion, her beautiful eyes fixed on Su Yun and said, "Young master, can you see any clues? In dungeons and other places where dirt and filth are hidden, one may not only fail to improve their skills, but may also become possessed by the accumulated yin qi in the dungeons." But the man in prison uniform had a red light all over his body, but he could completely separate the polluted air in the dungeon and practice breathing normally. These methods are not even as good as her Snow Moon Sword Fairy. I have read through the Taoist scriptures and have some understanding of the person's martial arts. Su Yun picked up his wine glass and took a light sip before saying, "That person's cultivation technique is quite miraculous. He uses spiritual power to condense vitality, perhaps having the effect of resurrection." Hanyi was suddenly taken aback and resurrected. Can anyone really do such things that go against common sense? She knew that the ability of cultivators far exceeded that of mortals, and even immortality was not a problem. However, the method of reviving death and reversing yin and yang was unimaginable, and even reached the level of abnormality. Is this the means of cultivators? Is that disheveled man really that so-called immortal? In the shocked gaze of Hanyi. Golden list screen. Ding Dian, who was practicing meditation, had some movement. His body emitted a dazzling light, and his tightly closed eyes emitted a mysterious and ancient aura. His palms slowly lifted, condensing an invisible spiritual power. The vast spiritual power condensed into a blood-red beam, shooting from his palm towards a stationary body on the ground. The light fell on the dead Di Yun, and his originally pale and cold skin gradually regained its color. The lost breath returned to the human body. A breath of life flows back into this body. Under the shining light, Di Yun's body visibly trembled, his eyes slowly opened, and his pupils regained their bright radiance. On the image, Di Yun sat up straight and touched his cheek incredulously. What is the situation? Didn't I die? Chapter 7. The Vibration of Major Emperors. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. What Di Yun didn't know was that in the short breath he stood up, the entire Shenzhou fell into a deathly silence. Every major imperial dynasty, from the emperor in the court to the ordinary people, without exception, stood still. It seems like the whole world is frozen. Everyone looked at the picture with extremely unified movements, their eyes widened to the limit, their bodies motionless, afraid of missing every detail. I wish I could delve into it and explore the truth. Oh my goodness, I'm not mistaken, he moved. Oh my goodness, it's not just about moving, but also scratching his head and touching his whole body. With that lively appearance, he was clearly a dead person before. What kind of immortal technique is this, resurrecting from anger and saving the dead? This is not an immortal technique, what is it? There really exist immortals in the world. Haha, my critically ill old mother has been saved. Throughout the continent of Shenzhou, countless commoners, people in the martial arts world, and emperors were all deeply moved. They witnessed a dead person reversing yin and yang in a few breaths and resurrecting themselves, with no doubt about the Taoist gold medal that day. Previously, there were doubts in everyone's hearts about the existence of the cultivator, as they had never seen an immortal or experienced his methods. However, now they are completely convinced. Life and death are the ultimate means of living a white bone, only immortals can achieve it. At the same time, above the sky, in the golden list, brilliant golden inscriptions appeared. De Ming Ding Dian, practiced the Supreme Divine Skill and Divine Illumination Sutra. This technique is passed down from the Iron Bone Ink Sepal, Mei Niansheng in Jiangnan. It is an unparalleled divine skill that combines the purity of the world and upholds the excellence of the world. The Divine Illumination Sutra is taken from the realm of entering the divine to do illumination, and has the effect of reviving life from death. Ding Jian has just entered the realm of Taoism and stepped onto the path of immortality by practicing this skill in the Great Qin dynasty. Seeing the words appearing on the gold list, Yingjing couldn't help but be shocked. Someone has really set foot on the path of cultivating immortals. Moreover, its cultivation techniques can even bring people back to life. Unbelievable. Return to the main hall. Yingjing kept repeating the 3 words, Shen Zhao Jing, in his mouth. He suppressed himself and was shocked in his heart, saying loudly, I have produced many talented people in the Great Qin dynasty, and my unparalleled experts are even more unparalleled in the divine realm. Can anyone know where the Divine Illumination Technique comes from? Although the Divine Illumination Technique was learned by Ming Yansheng and Ding Jian, the creators of this technique may not necessarily be those 2 people. Such a mysterious divine skill must have come from a peerless expert. If we can find that expert and recruit him, building a perpetual immortal dynasty will no longer be a dream. The stagnant courtiers in the main hall were brought back to reality by that majestic voice. The moon god spoke up and said, Your Majesty, this Divine Illumination Sutra is a method of cultivating immortals in a sect. It may have been left by a certain immortal, but by chance, it was obtained by Ming Yansheng. The immortal is afraid that the divine dragon will be difficult to find if he can create such an anti-heavenly skill as the Divine Illumination Sutra. Upon hearing these words, Yingjing suddenly realized that such immortals had long underestimated everything and had hidden themselves in the world. Creating the Divine Illumination Technique was also for the purpose of benefiting all beings. If it weren't for his active appearance, no one in this world would have known his whereabouts. Unable to find the immortal, we had to focus our attention on Ding Jian. Looking at the pictures on the gold list, it is also known that this person is being detained in a dungeon of the Ming dynasty. However, the Qin and the Ming are far apart. Even if they send unparalleled experts to rush overnight, it will take at least several days in the world to arrive. More importantly, this golden list can also be seen by the Ming royal family, and they will definitely not be indifferent. They probably sent someone to investigate long ago, and when the Qin army arrived, they estimated that Ding Jian would have been found long ago. Moreover, in the territory of Daming, it is not easy to take action. Thinking of this, Yingjing did not rush to dispatch troops and chose to wait and see what happened. Upon entering the path of immortality, one will have such a divine ability, and the cultivators behind will only be even more amazing. Even the Great Ming has the existence of cultivators, so must the Great Qin. Daming Palace. At this moment, the huge palace is crowded with people, all of whom are high-ranking officials of the court. Little Emperor Zhu from Hulong Mountain Villa ignored, and Chao Jingchun and others from the East Factory discussed the matter of the golden list. Zhu Xiaohou had a happy expression on his face. He didn't expect that the first cultivator revealed by the heavenly way would be his great Ming Zhongren. Zhu ignored the calmness on the surface, but his heart stirred up waves of turmoil. When he obtained the treasure of the Tianqi Weixia, he thought that the suction skill and the Vajra immortal skill were already the decisive martial arts in the world. Unexpectedly, there was a cultivation technique in the Ming dynasty. It can even bring death back to life. Similarly, Chao Jingchuan's shock in his heart was no less than Zhu's disregard. He had been practicing boy's art for more than 50 years, and his martial arts were extremely strong, reaching the level of invincibility, making it difficult to have a strong enemy. It is still not worth mentioning in front of cultivators. And the cultivator is within the Great Ming dynasty. Do you all know about Ding Jian and his beloved ministers? According to the golden list, this person is being detained in a dungeon of my Daming. Zhu Xiaohou spoke out. Your Majesty, only a limited number of images are displayed in the golden list, and besides, there are not even thousands but also hundreds of dungeons in my Ming dynasty. Zhu said expressionlessly. Moreover, there are countless cells in the dungeon, and it may be quite difficult to find this person. In fact, with his ability to protect the Dragon Villa, it is not difficult to find the whereabouts of Ding Dian. The reason why he said this is entirely because he is afraid that the emperor will be distracted by the divine scriptures. As a vassal, he must hand over what the emperor of the Ming dynasty asked for. I saw Zhu Zhaohou sitting on the main hall with a furrowed brow. There are many prisons in the Ming dynasty, and it is indeed difficult to find the location of Ding Dian. But what he is most worried about is the reason for Ding Dian's detention. And the identity of the person he saved. That person's death was clearly a result of having his right 5 fingers cut off and his pipa bone pierced, and he was subjected to extremely brutal torture. If you are a person of great treachery and evil, you deserve it. If one dies unjustly, the consequences will be serious. The little emperor knows that Ding Dian is a cultivator. And willing to use the supreme power to save others, that person's relationship with Ding Dian is probably extraordinary. What should be done if retaliation is launched? How can mortals bear the anger of cultivators? When the cultivator is angry, the floating corpse will travel 100 miles. Even the Emperor of Ming couldn't calm down at this moment. In fact, the Emperor doesn't need to worry. If the cultivator wanted to retaliate, he would have already taken action. If he didn't take action now, it only shows that he doesn't have a deep relationship with the deceased, maybe he just helped him casually. Chao Jingchun spoke out. I request to search for Ding Dian's whereabouts together with the Marquis of God. As he spoke, he mockingly glanced at Zhu Ignorance. If you want to make a move behind the scenes, there's no door. The investigative ability of the East Factory is not inferior to that of the Hulong Mountain Villa. If they each take action, they will inevitably fall behind. Zhu ignores the idea of eating alone and can naturally see through it. If we ask the Emperor to arrange for them to act together, we are not afraid that Zhu will ignore and swallow the divine scriptures alone. Okay, I will send you and Uncle Huang to set off together, and we will definitely find out Ding Dian's whereabouts. Chapter 8. Clap to death with one palm. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Daming, Wuchang Prefecture. In the dungeon, after waking up, Di Yun's face showed confusion. He glanced at Ding Dian sitting beside him, and memories of his death flooded into his mind once again. He was framed and imprisoned, and his right finger was cut off and he wore a pipa bone. While in prison, he met Ding Dian in front of him, and later learned that his junior sister had married. In despair of life, Di Yun chose to hang himself. But the current situation is, are you still alive? Soon, Di Yun realized that it must have been Ding Dian who saved him. Ding Dian has excellent martial arts skills and profound internal power, making him a top-notch expert in the world. Especially with his blood-red true qi, it seems to contain the supreme power to seize heaven and earth. Why save me? Di Yun looked puzzled and said. He is not a close relative to Ding Dian. Before this, the other party did not give him a good face, but now they have taken action to save him, for unknown purposes. You're awake. Upon hearing the sound, Ding Dian, who was meditating and practicing, opened his eyes and looked at Di Yun, who had regained his vitality. He sighed deeply and said, since hanging is true, you are not an undercover agent sent by Ling Tusi. He will be detained here and completely framed by Ling Tusi. Ding Dian was very clear that the reason Ling Tusi framed him was to covet the cultivation of the divine scriptures. In order to obtain this cultivation technique, Ling Tusi even used various forms of torture against him. The result was useless. Previously, Ding Dian thought that Di Yun was an undercover agent sent by Ling Tusi, in order to extract the complete content of the divine scripture from his mouth. It wasn't until I saw Di Yun commit suicide that this thought was completely dispelled. Di Yun is just a pitiful person who has been framed. Now that the Divine Illumination Sutra has been completed, he no longer wants to stay in this dungeon. It's time to settle accounts with enemies. Ding Dian was thinking of breaking through the prison when he suddenly noticed a slight abnormality. I suddenly realized that I was locked in by a golden light and couldn't even dispel it. Suddenly shocked. Even if the Divine Illumination Sutra is completed, he feels like he is still as insignificant as an ant under that light. What a terrifying existence it is. Looking up, I saw that ray of light had no limit or end, as if descending from those 9 heavens, able to penetrate all obstacles and shine on myself. In the mansion, Ling Tusi was shocked to see the name Ding Dian appearing on the gold list. The Divine Illumination Sutra is indeed a cultivation technique left by immortals, with the ability to bring death back to life. At this moment, Ling Tusi's ambition is infinitely magnified, and his thirst for the Divine Illumination Sutra is even greater than in the past. He wants to seize the Divine Illumination Sutra and become the legendary supreme cultivator. Humph, Ding Dian, let's see how hard your bones are. Ling Gaisai's eyes bloomed with a faint light, even if she tried all means to extract the content of the Divine Illumination Sutra from Ding Dian's mouth. When he ordered his subordinates to go to the dungeon, he pressed Ding Dian up for questioning. At the same time, on the gold list, the text reappears. The 20th cultivator Ding Dian rewards Wu Dao Ti and Xingxing Zhaohua Dan. In the dungeon, Ding Dian's mind buzzed, and the next moment, a golden pill appeared in his hand. But what shocked him even more was the information in his mind. Heavenly Way Golden List, arrange the cultivators in the world. I am the 20th cultivator. Ding Dian murmured to himself in his mouth. Seemingly thinking of something, he slammed his palm towards the direction of the overhead light source. Bang! A vast burst of palm power. A huge hole suddenly appeared on the ceiling. A large amount of light poured in, illuminating the dim dungeon very brightly, revealing the light of the sky. I saw a golden scroll covering most of the magnificent sky. What a divine means! Diyun also looked up at the sky and was suddenly stunned. Shenzhou Golden List, ranking the cultivators in the world. Ding Dian ranks 20th. As the first cultivator in the arrangement, the two characters Ding Dian are extremely eye-catching. Originally, brother Ding Dian was a cultivator. No wonder he was able to save me. Diyun was shocked. After being rescued by Ding Dian earlier, he didn't think much about it even though he was in despair. I only realized now that resurrection is a means that only immortals possess. However, with it comes a deep doubt. Why is a person with such a powerful Ding Dian imprisoned here? He even suffered a lot of cruel torture. Diyun thought of a deeply touched reason. He voluntarily stayed. Combined with Ding Dian's bold personality, he is a person of temperament, perhaps the fact is as he expected. At this moment, Ding Dian was carefully examining the pill in his hand. The whole body is round, as if a soft layer of gold gauze is gently covering it. The fragrance of medicine fills the nose. Just smelling it makes one feel that the dark wounds inside one's own organs have improved significantly. Ding Dian is overjoyed. The heavenly reward is truly extraordinary. But he was not fooled by the reward, and soon he realized the seriousness of the matter. The golden list will expose his martial arts skills, which may attract countless people to covet. At that time, there will be more than one Ling Gaisai, and even top figures in the Ming dynasty will be alarmed. Revival from the dead is too subversive of common sense and will surely make countless people envious. Thinking of this, Ding Dian swallowed the golden pill in one gulp. Suddenly, his whole body was filled with a surge of yang energy, and the crimson steam filled the entire prison cell. He rose up in the air, like a deity in the world, or like a killing god descending. This moment the expert who happened to arrive at the mansion was immediately frightened when he saw this, and his hand holding the knife couldn't help but tremble, unable to even speak. The person in front of them is no longer the familiar Ding Dian, but rather a peerless killing god. Quickly, Ling Tusi, who couldn't rest assured, arrived with another team of experts in a fierce manner. Ding Dian. You. When Ling Tusi saw the soaring Ding Dian and the thick and almost solid red true qi, his face turned pale. I couldn't speak the harsh words that I had been holding back all over my stomach. The footsteps stopped in place, unable to move any further. I have a bad premonition in my heart. Did his divine revelation come to fruition? At this moment, Ding Dian glanced sideways, his gaze sharp as a sword, like a legendary killing god. At this moment, all the experts in the government suddenly took a step back. Ling Tusi was even more frightened and fell to the ground, but still bravely shouted, "Ding Dian, you should be reckless in your cultivation. Ling Xuanhua is in my hands, and I don't want her to die. I advise you to honestly roll back to the dungeon." Upon hearing the roar like a hungry ghost, Ding Dian sneered in his heart. It's ironic that as a father, he used his own daughter's life as a bargaining chip to threaten him. It is said that tigers are poisonous and do not eat children. Ling Tusi is vicious, and even his own daughter is not spared. It is simply a waste of being a father. Damn it. I saw Ding Dian with great momentum, his body slowly rising into the air. With a lift of his left hand and a grab in the air, he pulled the stunned Di Yun towards him. He doesn't want to indiscriminately kill innocent people. I saw his right hand burst out with a pressing bloodlight, as if condensing the supreme killing move. Ding Dian, what are you doing? No. Ling Tusi was immediately startled upon seeing this and also realized the crisis. She hurriedly ran away like a lost dog, stumbling and falling repeatedly. He knew very well about Ding Dian's strength. If it weren't for using his daughter to force him and using poison, it would have been easy for the other party to kill him. I don't know what happened, but Ding Dian didn't show any signs of poisoning, which made Ling Gaisai feel scared, especially with the cold and indifferent gaze of the other person, as if he was looking at a dead person. Seeing the master escape, the group of experts next to Ling Tusi were also in chaos, fleeing everywhere. Ding Dian turned a deaf ear to this and raised his hand to give a sudden slap. Boom! The palm wind, carrying a faint red light, enveloped the sky and quickly fell, like the explosion of a meteorite falling. The earth trembles, and dust and smoke rise everywhere. On this day, the Wuchang prefecture of the Ming dynasty shook the world. The original Wuchang prefecture yamen was razed to the ground, and all buildings collapsed with a loud bang, leaving only a huge handprint deep in the earth. Rumor has it that Ding Dian, ranked 20th on the gold list, made a move. Chapter 9. Rich Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, during the Ming dynasty, the little emperor immediately slammed the table upon hearing the news. Pop. What worries him is still happening. Ding Dian took action against the yamen. And this move shook the world, using a great supernatural power to flatten the yamen of Wuchang prefecture. Upon learning everything, Zhu Xiaohou immediately became furious. Bastard. This person is bold and reckless, with no eyes on the court, he's damn it. The representative of the government office is the face of the Ming court. The Ding Dian mercilessly destroyed it, which is equivalent to ignoring the authority of the court. His heart can be punished. But as an emperor, he quickly calmed down. I saw him holding a document in his hand, which was a brief introduction to Ding Dian's life. From the content inside, Zhu Xiaohou learned that Ding Dian was a descendant of a martial arts family in Jingmen, not a supreme immortal. Because by chance, he saved Mei Niancheng, a famous martial arts expert in central Hunan who had been sniped by 3 disciples. Before his death, Mei Niancheng passed on the Ding Dian Divine Illumination Sutra, which led Ding Dian to embark on the path of cultivating immortality. After all, the astonishing changes in Ding Dian still rely on the Divine Illumination Sutra. Thinking of this, Zhu Xiaohou's heart was filled with enthusiasm. He immediately ordered the East and West Factory, Hulou Mountain Villa, and Genie Guard to all deploy and must find Ding Dian. That's the method of cultivating immortals. Not to mention Ding Dian still carries the Heavenly Way reward and the Birth and Creation pill. That is a reward from the heavenly way, how magical it would be. Even if we cannot obtain it, if we can let Ding Dian impart the Divine Illumination Sutra, it will still be an unparalleled creation. Compared to cultivating immortals, what does all worldly glory, wealth, and status count? What is left after 100 years, when you are the emperor of a dynasty and have the power to dominate the world, overlooking thousands of miles of rivers and mountains, and enjoying all the prosperity of the world? Even if one is remarkable and can achieve great accomplishments like Emperor Taizu, what can they do? Zhu Xiaohou was filled with emotions. Nowadays, the situation in Shenzhou is turbulent, and various forces are eager to stir up. However, his great Ming dynasty is far from as strong as during the reign of Emperor Taizu, and it is difficult to guarantee victory in the struggles of many imperial dynasties. If he can cultivate immortal cultivation techniques, not to mention being able to unify the divine realm, at least he can ensure that the Ming dynasty and the mountains are unobstructed. In the Great Qin dynasty, Yingzheng was extremely shocked to learn of the news that Ding Dian had destroyed the Ming government office. With just one palm, the Daming Yamen was razed to the ground. Is Ding Dian really a fairy? What is the level of Ding Dian's strength? Yingzheng scanned the crowd of His Highness and spoke up to inquire. Zhao Gao, dressed in a black and red robe with a soft face, took a step forward and bowed, saying, "Your Majesty, according to the information collected by the secret agent, no body has been found on the scene, not even a trace of blood. It seems like all the people in the Yamen have disappeared out of thin air. Zhao Gao will truthfully report the intelligence obtained." When he heard the news, he was greatly surprised. In theory, there are many people in the Yamen of Wuchang Prefecture, and even if they are killed, they will still leave some corpses, broken meat and blood stains. However, in reality, none of these things that should have been discovered at any tragic scene were found in the Wuchang Prefecture of the Ming dynasty. The experts inside seem to have evaporated from the human world. This can only indicate one issue, which is that the strength of the person who took action has become so strong that they can carry out mass killings without leaving a trace. After listening to Zhao Gao's report, the main hall fell into a deathly silence. The ministers in the field are all the helmsmen of the forces of the Great Qin, and they have a very clear understanding of the top-notch experts within them. They all believe that even their families and sects cannot achieve large-scale slaughter without leaving a trace. This person's strength is so terrifying. Yingzheng exclaimed in surprise. After listening to Zhao Gao's description, he also gained some understanding of the strength of Ding Dian. Ding Dian's strength is not even inferior to that of a land god immortal realm expert. However, there is one thing he still cannot grasp. Did Ding Dian take the Shengsheng Zhao Huadan that was rewarded by the heavenly Tao? If he has such strength after swallowing the heavenly Tao reward, he can still accept it. Send more top-notch experts to go there. But if you haven't taken the elixir, your strength is comparable to that of a land god fairyland powerhouse. How terrifying should it be after swallowing the Shengsheng Huadan? I'm afraid no one will be his opponent even in the Great Qin dynasty. In fact, Shengsheng Shuang Huadan Yingzheng was not tempted. What he was most concerned about was the Divine Illumination Sutra. Only by not dying can he possess the ability to build an eternal immortal dynasty. Thinking of this, Yingzheng couldn't help but gasp for breath. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, we cannot let it go. When commanding the Black Ice platform and secretly heading to Daming, regardless of any cost, one must find the whereabouts of Ding Dian. In the Tang dynasty, the empress was extremely shocked upon hearing the news reported by the spy. Do you know what the effects of this Wu Dao Ti and the Shengsheng Zhao Huadan are, according to the national teacher? The empress looked up at Yuan Tiangang beside her and said. Although the actual effectiveness of this reward is unclear, it is extraordinary just by its name. It is a heavenly reward, and its mystery can be imagined. After a moment of contemplation, Yuan Tiangang said slowly, Your Majesty, although I have never seen this Wu Dao Ti and Shengsheng Zhao Huadan, I can still see a hint of heavenly mystery from their names. Wu Dao Ti, as the name suggests, the tea brewed from Wudao tea can enhance martial artists' intelligence. Just how much specific growth can be achieved, I have limited vision and cannot speculate on the treasures of the heavenly way. Yuan Tiangang smiled bitterly and said, as for the creation of the elixir of transformation, I speculate that it may possess the power of supreme creation to transform decay into magic, or it may bring people back to life. As soon as these words were spoken, although Wu Zetian had been mentally prepared, she was still deeply moved. The secret way is a reward from the heavens. Its efficacy may be even more incredible than what Yuan Tiangang said. After all, it's something that the heavenly way rewards cultivators, and the Empress couldn't help but be tempted. Immediately dispatched an unscrupulous person to search for Ding Dian's whereabouts. At this moment, in the midst of Mount Hua in the Ming dynasty, Yu Buchuan has just obtained the anti-evil sword manual and is still hesitating whether to use a sword or not. Because at the beginning of this practice, it is written, to practice this skill, one must first go to the palace. If it were done before, with Yu Buchuan's temperament, he would definitely refuse without hesitation. But now it's different from the past. The talent of the Huashan sect has withered, and they have been oppressed and bullied by other sects everywhere, reaching a state of life and death. Moreover, as a sect leader, Yu Buchuan believes that his talent is limited and it is difficult to make a breakthrough. Faced with such internal and external troubles, he has already begun to consider the matter of his own palace. The heavens are unfair. Do you have to push me to that point before giving up? Yu Buchuan howled up to the sky. Sigh. Seeing the still golden chart appear above the sky, all the sadness and anger turned into a sigh. Why doesn't he have such an immortal fate? If he receives help from heaven, why would he practice any evil warding sword technique? Shenjiao Gong. Wudao Ti. Sheng Sheng Zao Huadan. Upon seeing the content on the gold list, Yu Buchuan immediately felt that the exorcism sword technique was not effective. I am thinking about other ways in my heart. It is rumored that LV Zhu once achieved enlightenment in Mount Hua. I wonder if there are any immortal techniques left in this mountain. Chapter 10. Li Hanyi's Doubts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, countless people in various parts of China are discussing the content on the gold list. TSK Tisk, that's a heavenly reward. Anyone who gives it to an ordinary person can become a peerless expert, right? Isn't that right? The heavenly way is above all else, whether it's Wudao Ti or Sheng Sheng Guadan, they are not human things. Hi. I'm afraid these treasures may not be destined for us. That's what the heavenly way rewards cultivators. I heard that Ding Dian's strength greatly improved after receiving the heavenly Dao reward, and he flattened the Wuchang Prefecture Yamen with just one palm. What? Is it really fake? It's true that the Wuchang Prefecture Yamen no longer exists. Only a huge palm print deeply buried underground remains. Oh my goodness, the Yamen of Wuchang Prefecture is not small. With just one palm, it can be destroyed. Only immortals can do it. This heavenly reward is truly incredible. At this moment, everyone was shocked beyond measure by the shocking news, and many even personally went to the Wuchang Prefecture of the Ming dynasty to verify the authenticity of the news. After witnessing the dilapidated and desolate scene, I was even more shocked. Where else does this look like a court office? It is said that people believe in border and wilderness areas. It was definitely a fairy's move that could cause such terrifying damage. More importantly, the person who made the move once received a heavenly reward. Is it because of the heavenly reward that he has such strength? Unconsciously, everyone became even more revered for the golden list hanging high in the sky. Just ranked 20th, there is such a reward, what about the front? In the Taihang Mountains. Li Hanyi looked at the golden list on the sky and was stunned for a moment. She naturally also heard rumors about Ding Dian. Not only does it possess the technique of resurrection, but its strength is also incredibly strong. It turns out that there are people in this world who cultivate immortals and ask. And there was also the gold medal reward. Even the Snow Moon Sword Fairy had never heard of her. Even, the reason why Ding Dian has such strength is likely due to heavenly rewards. Li Hanyi was deeply moved and immediately found Su Yun. Like a curious baby, he asked, "Young master, what exactly is this Wudao tea?" Although the name of Wudao tea seems to clearly explain its efficacy, as a reward bestowed by the heavenly way, it is definitely not as simple as it appears on the surface. I saw Su Yun lying on the rocking chair in the Taoist temple, closing his eyes and recuperating, as if nothing in this world could stir a ripple in his heart. Upon hearing Li Hanyi's inquiry, Su Yun still didn't open his eyes. He shook his folding fan and said to himself, "Wudao tea, as the name suggests, is a treasure that can enhance his understanding and enhance his spiritual cultivation. It is rumored that it is an immortal elixir planted by immortals, with infinite magical effects." At this point, a ripple finally stirred up in his heart. I couldn't help but feel a slight heartbeat. That's the elixir of the great emperor, the leaves of the ancient tree of enlightenment. Even beyond the scope of this world. Every leaf on the ancient tree of Wudao is different, with the radiance of the flowing path reflecting the vast world, including divine phoenix, immortal, mountains and rivers, clouds, gossip. Lifelike, each leaf resembles a small world, representing a unique way. Moreover, the ancient tea tree of Wudao is highly spiritual and must be ripe before being picked. Otherwise, once picked, it will sink into the roots and cannot be taken away. Unless there is an immortal root, it can also attract leaves in order to capture them. It can be seen how incredible the heavenly rewards are. Just ranking 20th can earn such a reward. I don't know how amazing the previous reward would be. He didn't expect that there were dozens of people in this world of martial arts who had already set foot on the immortal path. Moreover, the Heavenly Way Golden List only lists 20 cultivators, which clearly indicates the problem. It seems that this world is full of hidden tigers and dragons. Sure enough, no one should underestimate it. He can read through the Taoist scriptures and comprehend the teachings, but it doesn't mean that others cannot. There are countless sects practicing Taoism in Shenzhou, including the Taoist schools of various schools in the Great Qin Dynasty, the Longhu Mountain in Liang, and the Xiaoyao sect in the Kunlun Mountain in the Great Song Dynasty. Based on Su Yun's previous understanding, the entire Xiaoyao sect is cultivating immortality. The disciples of the Xiaoyao sect either rejuvenate or have eternal facial features, which are beyond the reach of ordinary martial artists. Moreover, this world is a fusion of countless martial arts worlds, and some geniuses may have been limited by the rules of the original world and can only practice until innate or master level. But in this world of comprehensive martial arts where the rules of heaven and earth are extremely open, their talent and potential are infinitely magnified. Coupled with some unexpected opportunities, it is indeed possible for them to achieve enlightenment and become immortals. For example, placing Duan Yu from the heavenly dragon world in the wind and cloud world significantly increases the martial arts limit. With Duan Yu's talent, his achievements may not necessarily be inferior to those of the top players in the wind and cloud world. Thinking of this, Su Yun felt a strong curiosity in his heart. Perhaps the cultivators announced on the gold list next will overturn his inherent cognition. Seeing Su Yun's detailed account of the origin of Wudao tea, Li Hanyi couldn't help but ask, "Young Master Su knows so many secrets about cultivating immortals. Isn't he also a cultivator?" She had never heard of Wudao tea, a celestial object, but the other party could explain its origin in detail. Even her master may not have heard of Wudao tea. And the so-called immortal elixir is even unheard of. If you are not a cultivator, why do you know so much about immortal treasures? Su Yun shook his head and said, "Cultivating immortality is too far away. Now I just understand a little bit of the basic Taoist breathing technique. I only found out about Wudao tea after flipping through the Taoist collection." He added another sentence. At the same time, there was a hint of helplessness in the eyes. "Really? Seeing Su Yun's expression, Li Hanyi looked suspicious and said, "Would it be convenient for me to take a look too?" She doesn't believe that there is such an anti-heavenly treasure in this Taoist temple, even the heavenly reward is recorded. Su Yun gave her a white glance and pointed to the distant bookshelf, saying, "The innermost row, the first floor is." As soon as the words fell, the woman in front of me disappeared instantly. So what the young master said is true. Li Hanyi held a quaint and weathered book in his hand, looking shocked. This Taoist temple is truly against the heavens, and there is indeed a record of Wu-Dao-Ti. Is it because I was overthinking? Young master is not a cultivator. Look at his expression, it doesn't seem like he's pretending. Moreover, Taoist priests in the divine realm are generally proficient in techniques like his, and it is not a profound skill. Even the information on Wu-Dao-Ti can be found in the Taoist collection, which perfectly explains the doubts in her heart for some unknown reason. Li Hanyi just felt that Su Yun was different, and she couldn't say exactly where she was different. At this moment, above the sky, the long silent golden chart shook again, shining brightly and shining brightly, starting to renew once again.